In this video we're going to take a look at conversion tracking. So your website is all about getting conversions and obviously tracking those conversions. And I want to break into a little bit of detail here, some key points about conversion tracking and what's important, what's to look at, and how to make this happen on websites. Many websites are still online brochures that really don't track conversions or really don't even have a strategy for creating conversions on their site. And in fact, it all begins with strategy. Strategy is the key to the conversion. And the strategy really needs to be around what is it that your users want to do on your site, and what is it that you want them to do on the site. And that leads to some type of conversion. You've got to constantly be modifying your website to get conversions, and then your tracking and your stats analysis help you determine that. Now there's various forms of conversions, and I'll go over a few of them in this slide. Most people think of a website conversion as a direct sale or an e-commerce sale, but you can also be generating leads, and you can generate leads in many different forms. You can also have people signing up for email newsletters. Even having people come to your website and spend time on the site getting your information is a form of conversion, because that's branding for your site. So the bottom line is you should have a strategy for tracking these conversions and a very clear model for what you want people to do on your site, and how you define a conversion. Many sites are going to need to do offers, and the offer might be a discount, or it might be free information, or something that's going to entice people to either subscribe to your newsletter or contact you directly. One of the important things to keep in mind when you experiment with offers is that you're going to have a much better conversion rate giving information away. If you ask people to log in or ask people to give up some kind of information before they get access to your content, that's going to cut in about half the number of conversions you'll see. And there's data out there now that shows that websites that have free information and content get up to twice as many inquiries and conversions. So that's important to know. Also, you have to have Google Analytics set up. And in Google Analytics, you'll quickly find out there's lots of ways to track conversions, not just direct conversions into sales or leads or form submissions, but also into goals. For example, having people look at your Contact Us page, or if you're trying to drive people to your retail store, perhaps having them look at a map of your locations and that sort of thing. Some manufacturers, for example, want to drive website visitors to retail locations where you can buy their product. All of those various types of things are conversions and can be tracked in your stats. It's also very important to know, we've mentioned this in other videos, that the content on your website is what's going to convert people. So look at your stats, because content that's not getting any traffic, that's basically being ignored on your website, is just clutter that's taking up room. That needs to be removed, and focus on the content that does drive traffic and that does lead toward conversions. And I mentioned that there were several ways to track and monitor conversions, and here's a few. A lot of folks just have an email or a phone number, but don't forget forms, because a lot of times people will be looking at your website in an area where they can't use their email, or they don't have access to a phone, or it's after hours. So forms are very important. And in fact, having your actual business location is important for conversion tracking, because people may drive out to your office or your store, for example. And it's very common. I still see websites all the time that have no physical address or physical location on their Contact Us page. So these are just a few points that I need to make here about conversions and conversion tracking. Let's look at an example of a conversion tracking formula that applies pretty much to 80–90% of websites that are out there. The most important formula is your total unique visitors times your actual conversion rate. And this is pretty straightforward. For example, if you have 5,000 visitors to your website a month, and your conversion rate is 2%, that would equal 100 sales or leads. This is a number that can apply to whatever your conversion that you're running and tracking. But it's something you should be looking at on a regular basis as you monitor website performance. Here's an example of an average conversion rate that you might see on a website. For sure, visits to leads or sales, as we discussed above. Now, with pay-per-click programs, a very important conversion rate is how many people saw the ad to how many people clicked through to your website. And then, of course, those clicks would be tracked as they're converting into sales or leads or whatever your conversion strategy is. And then also clicks on the page to actual sales and leads. For example, you might have people visiting a Contact Us page. What percentage of the visitors that came to the Contact Us page did something to contact you, submit a form or email, or use a phone number that you have on the site that's only for the website, so you can track those conversions from that particular page. In fact, currently with pay-per-click programs in Google AdWords, you can track ads on Google as they come through to your website and call you directly on a web-based phone number. So you can track your spend in your Google Ads to people that contact your sales team. And one more that I want to add here is the lifetime value of a customer. This is something that tends to get forgotten because conversion rates on most websites are so low. For example, 1 to 2% conversion rate is really good on the web. But when you look at that, don't think of it as just a one-time contact. You've got to think about the lifetime value of a customer and your website marketing ROI to drive more long-term benefit from customers. Let's switch gears here and talk a little bit about the impact of website updates. As we're looking at step 4 here, website performance, got to really think of your website as something that's always under construction. You're going to be constantly improving the site and making changes based on the stats and making changes based on the feedback from the website users. And the nice thing about the web is that any changes that you made can be tested. In fact, they can be tested immediately. So within a day or two, you'll see the user behavior, and you could modify the site to take advantage of what users are doing. Also keep in mind that if you're going to be involved in website marketing and your step 4 is important to you, website performance, then you definitely have to be subscribing to email newsletters and staying on top of what's happening on the web and internet marketing industry in general. This is absolutely critical because things do change overnight. Companies go out of business. Companies are bought by other firms. Policies change on a website overnight. All of this has to be tracked, especially what's happening with Google, who is a big player in this market. And speaking of Google, it's also very important to stay on top of search engine trends and the actual technologies to build and market websites. Right now, as of the recording of this video, Google is the dominant player, but MSN is trying to come in and be stronger. They haven't succeeded so far, but and also Yahoo. And in fact, Yahoo and MSN may merge at some point and then be a serious threat to Google. So you've got to stay on top of search engines and then the technologies behind them as well. And finally, you've also have to definitely be getting feedback from your users, conducting at least minimal usability testing. Watch the videos that we put together on user testing and do some occasional surveys to your users and then make those updates. This is important because what you see in your stats is not always going to paint a very clear picture. You've also got to talk to users to help them understand why they're doing the things that you see on the website stats. So that concludes website updates and a quick look at conversion strategies. In our next video, we're going to look at an extension of web marketing into your sales process.